Okay, a quick point on the evidence reviews. I think in the future it will be increasingly important that you will have to add an evidence review as an annex. You'll have to do it. We will expect it as part of an annex, because we want to see where research is positioned in relation to other research for precisely the reasons that were highlighted. Okay, so on to the thank yous. I would like to thank everyone for a fantastic day on behalf of ESRC. I would like to thank everyone involved in CAGE for a long history of wonderful research and a fantastic research partnership. We are deeply, deeply in awe of the fantastic work that you have done. And I've really, really enjoyed today. I would particularly like to thank Nick. On behalf of ESRC, and I would like to thank Nick personally. Nick has been a fantastic supporter for me for many years while I was editing Industrial and Corporate Change, and he came along to probably one of the most enjoyable academic debates that I have ever been involved in, which was a session we organised for Bayes and Number 10, and it started off the day with Nick and Eric Bartelsman from the Netherlands having a ding-dong about the causes of productivity growth. And it was the kind of academic equivalent of listening to a Mike Tyson fight on the radio. I mean, it was just banging away at each other. I'm not going to say who was Mike Tyson, but it was fantastic fun. So that was so well received. It kind of went round Bayes and Number 10, and that was, I think, one of the reasons I got my job. So personal thanks from me. If I mess up my job really, really badly, you're going to be to blame. But thank you personally very, very much. I want to highlight a couple of things from ESRC and from me personally about CAGE, which I'd really like to highlight, particularly to the younger people in the audience. So firstly, the interdisciplinary nature of the work that goes on here. Interdisciplinary research is very, very difficult to do. Now, not all interdisciplinary research is good, but a lot of good research is interdisciplinary. And it is difficult to get people from different disciplines to work together. So to achieve it so successfully for such a long time is a remarkable achievement. In that, I would also like to highlight the importance of economic history. I, for many years, was editor of a journal called Industrial and Corporate Change, and we tried very, very hard to provide a venue where economic historians and economists could talk to each other and debate. I think we achieved a bit, but it was a difficult journey. When I first started as editor, I was told, never give a business history paper to an economic historian to review because they'll reject it. Never give an economic history paper to an economist because they'll reject it. Never give an economics paper to a statistician because they'll reject it. And never give a statistics paper to a business historian because they'll reject it. And it was just this circle of kind of disagreement. I think that's changed. And I think it's institutions like this that have worked together to integrate research and to show the value of interdisciplinary research that have driven that change. So thank you very much to everyone involved in that from the whole community. The second thing I would like to highlight is the impact of the work here on policy. So I've been involved quite a lot in the industrial strategy, and the work of economic historians in providing some context and understanding to the industrial strategy debates in the UK has been really important. In particular, the ability of high quality research to come along and provide a complete landscape description. So there's lots of policy entrepreneurs who want to push particular ideas, and they will select successful cases. Having the broad picture of the successes and the failures, I think, has been really, really useful. And there, I think, kind of engagements with Chatham House and the Social Market Foundation has been brilliant. Next, I would really like to thank CAGE and the wider Business School and Economics Department at Warwick for the wonderful work they're doing training PhDs. This fantastic work that has been done has been noticed. We are really, really impressed with the work that you are doing. We are going to, in the future, be reviewing our PhD training and may fundamentally change it. And we will be looking to examples where there's been a lot of support going into PhD training. And I think that the work you've done here has been exemplary. So thank you very much for that. Next on to my favourite thing, data. 45 years for a research project. That's just fantastic. But this sort of commitment to gathering data is really, really key. Data is really vital. ESRC funds a cohort study going back to 1958. And that ability to have that resource there for people to use is really, really important. And as other Nick's talk highlighted, social science is only going to get more data intensive. So all you PhDs out there, learn about data. Data is really, really key. So I'd like to thank you for all the work you've done building these amazing data sets and using them. And you know, data is kind of like a flower that needs love to grow. So, you know, all that hard work I really, really appreciate, and that's a massive contribution to the community. Cage has got a global reputation. With Nick going, I am sure that's going to continue. We are very, very pleased that it's being passed over to very capable hands. So I'm going to give a couple of hints for the future about what ESRC is looking for. One, we want to see research that's aligned with societal need. So it's a really good idea to look at the areas of research interest that government departments have published. We like that. We have also published recently our delivery plan. And there, when you go through the delivery plan, there are a load of areas where we're really interested that overlap beautifully with what Cage has been doing. I would particularly like to highlight productivity. It's a really, really key issue for us, a really key issue for the UK. You know, as has been highlighted, we have had, since 2007, a flat line. We need to address that as a major problem. So I would be hoping that we will be seeing some proposals coming in through you. I'm going to move on to thank two more groups of people. The first one is the administrators. ESRC research centres are not just the researchers. We also fund the support staff and the administrators. They have done a fantastic job. You are part of the ESRC family, so I'd like to thank you on behalf of everyone from ESRC. And I'd also like to thank the University of Warwick. We only fund part of the research that we support, and we have the universities coming forward and providing additional support as partners. We fund at catalytic levels. I am worried that they don't become homeopathic levels, but the support that comes from the universities is really, really key. And I would like to thank the University of Warwick for all their support for the work that we are engaged in here. And it's really great to be working as partners with the University of Warwick, and I hope we will continue to do that into the future. So thank you, everyone. It's been a fantastic day, and I look forward to working closely with everyone into the future. Thank you.
Well, at 5 to 6, I'm not going to keep either myself or you, who've worked very hard today, from a glass of wine. But just a very few remarks from me. This is obviously a celebration of Cage's 10 years, but it's actually a double celebration. It's a celebration of Cage and crafts. And I just want to say a couple of things about both of these wonderful institutions. First of all, though, let me just follow those very kind remarks about our support as a university. What university could want for a better research centre and a better leader? I don't need to say anything more than that. That's why we support this, and that's why we've been extremely glad to put resources into it. We're absolutely delighted other people do as well, but we are right behind Cage, and we will continue to be behind Cage. Now, as for Nick himself, of course, this microphone depends on which way you turn it, I think, but as for Nick himself, this is his second helping of Celebration this year. He's already had one built around his birthday, and I dare say that others are being planned, maybe secretly, we just don't know. He really is valued by university communities and those outside the university. And at his first celebration, he finished by saying that his career had turned out better than he'd expected. Which of course is typical of something I've particularly enjoyed in my conversations with him, that low-key North of England discourse, which is extremely poignant, gets to the point, and is also thoroughly amusing. And I remember a couple of years ago when he just slipped into the conversation that Her Majesty's Treasury had, having been tasked with thinking about something called industrial strategy, had called him up and said, can you tell us what one of those things is? Now, the story also tells us how much he's appreciated in the world of policy and in government, and that's extremely important. Not all academics manage that, but he's managed that double world, which is simply wonderful. Now, as for Cage, do you guys sleep? I mean, just look at the productivity here. Just look at the figures of publications, of books, of conferences, of position papers, of policy papers, etc., etc. It's truly wonderful. I've had the pleasure of sitting on the Cage advisory board under the amiable chair of Francis Cairncross, And at the advisory board, you get academic treats by people like Sasha and other people in this room. You also have the pleasure of the director's report, read out in that same style I've alluded to already, so as not to excite the members of the board unduly by the stupefying productivity which is revealed in the previous year. But of course that productivity is extraordinarily impressive. I can't think, perhaps colleagues from ESRC will know of better research centres, more productive ones. It's not just the sheer amount, it's the transformative nature of the research, which we've been hearing about, I think, through the day. So I want to salute Nick Crafts, and I want to salute Cage. They're both wonderful institutions, valued by us, valued externally, and I think all I need to do is to encourage us to move to the Radcliffe Bar and to take a glass of wine in our hands and to celebrate another 10, 20, or as Sasha said earlier, 30 years of Cage and at least another 70 years of Crafts. Thank you very much.